I'm neutral about cranberry juice. It's fine.
What about pear juice?
Never had pear juice.
You never had like white pear juice?
No.
Ooh.
That actually sounds kind of good. I like fuzzy navels, the drink.
Okay.
So I would probably like pear juice.
I'm not sure if I had fuzzy navel.
We in. What's up? How's it going? I like that little.
How's it growing?
How's it going? I don't know.
That's my little shimmy. That's
a
what
little-
I do. I'm gonna start shimmying before.
Okay.
The
Get loosey goosey. You gotta get limber. When in doubt, stretch it out.
yeah.
Hey, welcome to the Chris and Kyle Show.
Oh,
He's
you're
Chris.
welcome.
He's
you're
Chris.
welcoming me as well.
No, I'm welcoming the good people of the world. He's Chris. I'm Kyle. Today we're doing a spoiler episode for Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Before we dive in, though, a couple announcements. Number one, there is a new poll up on the stuff on Twitter and on Facebook. We're doing kind of a weird, fun anime poll this month. Poll between Neon Genesis Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop. We will watch the series of the winner, and we will do a spoiler episode on it. The other announcement is we have a kind of a cool... We're going to do our first Q&A video at the end of this month. So in place of our normal Monday episodes, the last Monday of this month, we're going to do a Q&A video. So if any of you guys want to ask us any questions, and I cannot stress this enough, the weirder the better. As weird, zany, wacky questions as you can think of. Whatever you want us to talk about or think about or answer, go ahead and post them literally anywhere. Put them like on the YouTube comments, put them on our Facebook page, hit us up on Twitter with questions, put them in the review sections for the podcast, wherever you want. Yeah. So Q&A video.
You can't ask too many questions.
You can't.
You cannot ask too many questions.
But don't be like, hey man, what's your favorite juice?
I'm okay with that.
It's just like, ask me something weirder than that.
Okay. I mean, I would encourage that as well, but I think that we could talk about juice.
We probably could, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We could accidentally form strong juice opinions, probably. Like, off the top of my
you're
head.
the only one that's going to really talk about juice with any, like, fervor, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very much, like, lackadaisical with my juice. Like
I like apple juice. I like grape juice.
I can drink cranberry juice.
I don't like orange juice.
I could drink cranberry juice. I could drink...
I'm neutral about cranberry juice. It's fine.
What about pear juice?
Never had pear juice.
You never had, like, white pear juice?
No.
Ooh.
That actually sounds kind of good. I like fuzzy navels, the drink.
Okay.
So I would probably like pear juice.
I'm not sure if I had fuzzy navel.
When I was younger, my mom used to like have frozen fuzzy navel things, but she would just make them virgin when we were kids, and we would drink them like over the summer. They were good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's dive in. I don't know why I did that. That was super weird. So, for anyone who doesn't know, this movie is directed and written by Quentin Tarantino. It is about... I'm just going to read the synopsis. A fated television actor and his stunt double strive to achieve fame and success in the film industry during the final years of Hollywood's golden age in 1969 Los Angeles. This movie is like Quentin Tarantino's love letter to the city, to I think like an age that he really like admires, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Like an age of Hollywood that he admires. And it's also like a weird historical fiction in a way, which is really interesting. For I think a big like so I didn't have any historical context going into this movie.
You didn't know anything about...
I didn't know anything about Sharon Tate. Like I knew that the movie was going to be like tertiarily related to Charles Manson and the Manson murders, but I didn't know the details of that, what that meant exactly. Right. So I looked it all up after the movie, and I learned that like Sharon Tate was murdered, and a bunch of her friends in Roman Polanski's house, and like a bunch of crazy stuff. And I was like, oh wow, like I kind of wish I had that historical context going in, because it would have made me more afraid for Margot Robbie throughout the movie.
True.
Yeah. Did you have that going in?
Yes.
Okay.
So, all right. So I obviously I'm not like super well informed, but I knew that was the story, the real life story.
Okay.
So
like basically Margot Robbie's playing the only real character. Well, that's not true. Like Roman Polanski's real, and the other dude is real. I forget the guy's name.
Steve McQueen is in it.
Yeah. There's like random people that are real, but like Leo and Brad Pitt are not real people.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And Yeah, like you said, this is sort of like a historical fiction. It's like kind of revisionist in a way.
Yeah.
Because spoilers, Sharon Tate doesn't die at the
Yeah.
end, right?
In a fucking ludicrous fashion.
But the interesting part about this movie and the way that Quentin Tarantino phrased it was that like that the knowledge of that it definitely would have aided.
Yeah, it would have changed. I think it would have changed the experience.
You
completely.
refer to it as like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Like, because like this is the most like slice of life movie that Quentin Tarantino has ever made.
I was really surprised by that.
It's not provocative until the end, really.
It's fucking good though. The
Right.
end is fucking great.
But like the thing is, like the entire setup of the end, right, is very much like a slice of life movie,
Yeah.
and it's very much. And while I was watching it, I was like, this doesn't feel like a slice of life movie because it's like not as like cutesy almost, you know, like it's. In my head, I was like, this is like a 4-course meal of life because you're just getting so much. Like you're just getting so much of like what Hollywood is and like all of these different characters and like it's not plot driven in a way. Like
Yeah,
and Quentin Tarantino.
I thought a little bit of like Inside Llewyn Davis watching it. It's not tonally, but in what you're saying there, it's like the slice of life thing. They just like it not being plot driven. That's what it really like. I was really surprised that there was almost no real plot to it.
It like, but it's weird because in hindsight, it's more. It's not as like plotless as Inside Llewyn Davis is. Like I would compare it to a movie that I watched called Our Idiot Brother. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
With Paul Rudd.
I remember that movie.
Yeah. Did we watch that together? Was it like a Redbox movie that we watched in college?
Very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible.
But what I remember from that movie, like I remember watching it and being like, oh, this is sort of like a character piece. And then you start finding out that like all of these different setups were kind of slipped in like, you know, like a vitamin and a piece of cheese. But then you get the payoffs later on and and you didn't realize that you were being set up the entire time.
Do you eat vitamins with cheese?
Huh?
What is that? Is that a saying?
No, well, no. It's like if you're gonna give your dog a vitamin, right? You gotta
And
put it in
cheese?
you gotta put it in a piece of cheese.
I believe you. Makes sense. Dogs will eat anything
just
except their vitamins, unless it's
Except
cheese.
my elaborate metaphors, dude.
I like it. It's just ridiculous.
So, and this movie is very much like that. Like the entire that end sequence. Like let's start
So
there
good.
with
So
that
good.
fight scene.
I loved it so
right?
much.
And it's the revisionist part.
That's
of the
what
movie
you
as
expect
well.
from a Quentin Tarantino movie,
And
right?
it was very much like the most Quentin Tarantino scene. I would say that as well as what happened
At the ranch?
at Spawn's ranch.
That was a great scene. I love that
great
scene.
scene. And it reminded me a lot of like specific scenes from Inglourious Bastards as well as Hateful Eight, where like Quentin Tarantino like just fucking really knows how to build a scene with specific elements and to just let it linger and let the suspense just kind of build up.
Yeah, like the Spawn Ranch scene specifically, like I was so afraid of not only what was going to happen to Brad Pitt, but what he was going to find in that house and then in that room. It was like just so much pressure being built up in that scene.
Yeah. But
And
like,
then it ended up being like kind of a comedy bit, which worked really well.
It was kind of a tease. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of like a Tarantino blue ball scene.
Yeah.
Like because there's no payoff there.
Yeah.
But you get that payoff later.
Dude, the layers of that final climax, like not only it being this revisionist history, historical fiction twist on what happened in real life, or this like insanely great comedy bit with Brad Pitt being fucking tripping on acid while it's all happening.
Yeah.
It's just like so many layers, and then being just a really like crazy Quentin Tarantino action sequence.
Yeah.
It's just so many layered things that work so well together.
That, but like you understand like what I'm saying. Like if that scene is the ultimate payoff, right? Like look at all of the different setups that we had throughout the entire movie, right? Like everything that we saw with Brad Pitt's character was it Cliff Booth? Is that his name?
Cliff Booth.
So Cliff Booth's character, like the entire time, he has a fight with Bruce Lee, which like
He has a daydream about fighting Bruce Lee.
No, the actual fight happened.
Are you sure? I thought it was a daydream. I thought he was on the roof thinking about it.
No, that was a flashback.
Oh, okay.
Because he said, "Hey, do you remember that the person that was on Green Hornet?" Right? Wasn't that exactly what happened?
Leo said that Randy is working on the show that he was doing a role on.
Uh-huh.
The guy from Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Randy's friends with the guy from Green Hornet, who is Bruce Lee. And then when he goes home to fix his antenna, he's working on the roof. And then he thinks about fighting Bruce Lee. And then when it comes back to him, he goes, yeah, all right. That's why I thought it was a daydream. I thought he was imagining what would happen.
You might be right. I might be
That's
wrong
what I
there.
thought was happening.
You might be right.
Yeah. Either way, that scene's hysterical.
Well, and either way, so like we pick up on a lot of the things that Cliff Booth does that he actually does, even if you take out that fight scene, right? Like the parkour that he does to get up,
on
the roof in
yeah,
the first
yeah, yeah.
place, right? The fact that he's like fucking driving around in his in his sports car
He drives
around
like
LA,
drives like a crazy person.
yeah, he drives like a fucking stuntman.
Only when he's not driving Leo around.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. He drives normal with Leo. And whenever he's driving Leo's car, he only drives crazy in his car. He's like a very like controlled. He's a really interesting character, Cliff Booth. Like
I love him.
He's super interesting.
Yeah. But there's that. But like there's like the scene when Kurt Russell's character is talking to Leo DiCaprio, and Leo's like, "Do whatever you want with him. Throw him off a roof. Fucking put him next to an explosion. Fucking throw a Lincoln at him.
Yeah.
Like he'll be fine."
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Terminator,
Yeah.
you know, kind of
He's
line,
indestructible.
You know what I mean? Like he's indestructible.
Yeah.
Like you can throw whatever the fuck you want at him because like
Hey,
he's
man,
fucking Cliff Booth.
He's meant to carry loads.
He's meant to carry the load, but like you pick up on all of these like subtle things on like what makes him a badass.
Plus, like, there's the scene early on. You're talking about the payoffs and the climax. There's like the scene where he feeds his dog, and you learn about all the shit with his dog. That's the most yoked dog I've ever seen. By the way, that dog fucking works out.
Yeah,
does not skip leg day.
yeah.
What
that
a
dog's
dog.
been to prison.
That girl fucking thick.
But anyway, you pick up and that was another setup. The fact that he was able to control his dog really well,
Yeah.
right? And his dog is so disciplined and everything. When that scene happens and you like see him mid-trip fuck up
It's so good.
these
dude.
hippie children.
When Tex is like, "I'm the devil," and he just starts laughing at him.
No, that wasn't it.
It's so good.
I think Cliff Booth is by far the best part of the movie. But but it's not just
Yo, how
Cliff
about the
Booth.
audible gasp from the movie theater when Brad Pitt took his shirt off, just to like show the world he still
Yeah.
got it.
How old is that dude now?
50 something.
Yeah.
50 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a few round tables between Leo, Quentin, Brad, and Margot, and it was funny because like
really good.
yeah, it was really good. But it was kind of funny because Margot talked about like how Quentin, like working with Quentin was such an honor because like he was such a huge part of her childhood and stuff, and all of them like, like rolled their eyes,
Brad Pitt's 56.
Yeah,
Still got it.
yeah,
Looking good.
fucking better body than I do. Dude. So I love his character, but not only like do I like his character, like I feel like it would be super common to see in a movie like this, like to see a movie about friendship where like something goes wrong with the friendship.
Nothing ever goes wrong
And
between
nothing
them.
ever
No,
goes wrong with the
they just
friendship.
fucking love each other.
They
They just have such a mutual love and respect for each other.
and
And, like-
they meet each other.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like
Well, like specifically, Leo, whose character's name, not Jake Cahill's the character. What's your fucking
Rick Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton. Like Rick Dalton literally needs Cliff Booth to survive. He does everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's his driver. He's his fucking handyman. He's his make sure I get home and I'm not driving drunk person.
Yeah.
Whereas Cliff Booth is like, he needs the work.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, they just need the fucking camaraderie of each other. And they need someone to lean on and to lean on them. And they're that for each other. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like a really solid movie about
Yeah,
friendship,
yeah.
which like
Yeah.
I mean, Quentin can fucking nail kind of whatever he wants, right? Like, but he has a very specific style. But like, just like a movie about friendship, it's just like not. It's kind of
Unexpected. It's unexpected. Yeah.
It's not what you expect from him. So outside of Rick Booth's character, this is a love letter to Hollywood. I think that we should bring up Hollywood as a character in this movie because I think it's probably one of the most astounding parts
Dude,
of the
did you
movie.
like watching the shots of them driving around Hollywood? Were you like, why
Do I
can't
know the
traffic
street?
still be like that?
Yeah, no.
I was like, he's getting on like the 101 and shit, and there's just like nobody on the road in the middle of the day. And I was like, nah, dude, you do that now, and you're fucking stop and go traffic.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, I wish.
But yeah, dude, there's definitely. I wonder about like how much energy and effort went into the recreation of that era of Hollywood.
Apparently, look, it was all fucking practical. They
Yeah.
completely shut down Hollywood Boulevard and fucking completely rebuilt it. And Brad Pitt was talking about that, and he was like, not only like was there a fucking movie poster on a bus stop that you weren't going to see in the shot? There was stores in the back that had fucking pamphlets and fucking comic books from the time period. He was like, Quentin is such a purist, and he has such good
that's
attention
like
to detail.
that's like the most non-surprising thing to me. Like, as impressive and cool as it is, I wouldn't expect anything else from Quentin Tarantino. Like, you know that dude fucking loves movies and loves Hollywood,
right.
and you know he's going to put so much effort into that.
Yeah, and he's not someone who only loves it, but he has such a fucking astounding memory for Hollywood that he's able to pick up these like little details and stuff that he remembers from growing up, because he was born in 1963 but grew up in Hollywood. Yeah. So I mean, so he was 6 years old.
He was like 6 years old when this happened.
5-6 years old.
I mean, it's a fucking like dour comparison to make, but it's like 9/11 for us. It's like a similar age. Yeah. And like that was a horrible thing that happened in real life with Sharon Tate and the Manson family murders. Right. And like 9/11 was obviously awful when we were kids. So it's kind of weird to think about like this being Quentin's version of that in our lives at the same sort of era of his life. It's kind of weird and interesting.
Yeah, very true. And it was also like a really like interesting choice for him to choose this time period in Hollywood, not only because of Charles Manson and the Sharon Tate.
I read a bunch
tragedy,
of shit about Charles Manson last night. He was crazy.
Yeah. But the time period informs it's such a like a interesting environment to put a guy like Rick Dalton in, because he was someone who was on the back nine of his career, and we were wondering.
He was like weirdly conservative about stuff, like. Especially like going into a movie about Hollywood stars, you don't expect them to be like conservative about things. Like he fucking hated hippies and like all this shit like that.
Yeah. But it's not just that. Like, it's not like just the introduction of hippies, which was like happening a lot fucking in the late 60s and everything. But like the actual structure of Hollywood itself was changing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much you know about film history, but like everything was very much studio based in Hollywood for the longest time. Like all the way like from the inception of film, when everyone was moving out here, like this like Hollywood was settled by basically like women, immigrants, and Jews. That's basically who started Hollywood. And up until like once it started becoming a legitimate business, that's when like fucking white men were like, oh, okay, like let's come in and
take that.
Yeah. But it very much became like a studio system. And there was a couple different things that sort of like that changed that studio kind of base, like that, like, oh, I'm going to make a Western on Monday, and then next week I'm making a romantic comedy. Like, and one big thing was French New Wave, which was just a huge, there's been like like almost like an internal battle since the inception of film between American film. They both sort of started up film, like with Thomas Edison in New Jersey here, and then the Lumiere brothers over in France. Like the actual idea to project a film actually came from France. It came from the Lumiere brothers. But like with the French New Wave, there was a lot of like these sort of, that's kind of where the term auteur, that's where auteur comes from. You have like these singular visionary directors who took things out of the studio. They hired non-actors. They had like very practical lighting and effects and environments. And yeah, like it's sort of that, as well as like sort of the film schools starting to sprout up. So you had, guys like Scorsese starting to make movies that, were outside of the Hollywood studio sort of production line. And people were making more realistic, more authentic movies. So you had...
It's kind of weird to think about today, because like now, I think what you're saying about movie studios is different than what it means now. Now, like, it's like you would say movies are still studio driven. Like, look at Marvel.
Right.
Like, look at Disney. Like, so I just think it's like important to draw a line there, where the difference between like what you mean by studio and what it means today.
Well, okay, so like what I mean, why is a studio film different? Because you're not just talking about like, oh, it's filmed in a studio. Like the term studio film comes along with like different language. And I'm not talking about language how we talk about movies. I'm talking about like what you normally see within movies, right? So studio films, like when you're talking about fucking Marvel and shit like that, like there's a different look to movies now that are informed by the Scorsese movies, that are informed by Coppola and by, Jean-Luc Godard and Truffaut and like those French New Wave guys, right? Like, because they helped bring realism and authenticity. Like if you like Casablanca is a very like, and Gone with the Wind are like very, good movies to look at as far as examples of seeing what kind of, what a studio, like an old Hollywood studio film is, because you're seeing like very much like it's almost like theatrical in the way that like the lighting is like very perfect. It's very like, and it's weird how, I don't know, sort of like set in its ways it became until like French New Wave came and the film school guys started coming in. And like movies like The Godfather and shit like that were like, hey, like we can make a movie dark. Like we don't have to perfectly light it.
Yeah, not that everything has to be bright.
Yeah, so like, and it's very much an oversimplification, but for the most part, like 1969 Hollywood, you had as well as the development of method acting, right?
Like the little girl in this movie.
The little girl, right?
She's killer, dude. She's great.
But you're seeing this throughout the entire movie. You're seeing like these characters sort of butt up against like the future of Hollywood. You're seeing this transition period from old Hollywood into new Hollywood. Yeah. So, you have Leo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton, talking to this little girl who's like, I always stay in character, yada yada. And then you have,
I really like that scene.
And then you have Cliff Booth fighting fucking Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Right? And this is Bruce Lee when he was on the Green Hornet, which was in the 60s, he wasn't as big. He became a fucking superstar in the 70s. Like the Green Hornet, he played Kato, who wasn't even like the lead. He was like the
sidekick.
The sidekick character. But he ended up, even if he did, lose a fight to Cliff Booth, he ends up winning in the end, because Cliff Booth is on his career is dwindling. So I thought that was like an interesting environment to include these characters, and to see how they both are sort of confronting it.
His hands are registered as lethal weapons. If he accidentally murders you, he'd go to jail. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That scene was super fucking funny.
It hurt me a little bit
because you love Bruce Lee so much.
I love Bruce Lee.
So like seeing him like kind of mocked like for being an asshole.
Yeah,
is like it's like I think there's like this there's a Muhammad Ali-esque quality to thinking about Bruce Lee now. Right, in hindsight, when you think about like flow like water and like all that cool shit, and you think of him as like this like philosophical fucking physical like disciplined dude, but then like you see that and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
like
he's just kind of a
he
dick.
was like a fucking diva.
He's just kind of dick, like and you brought up Muhammad Ali, like he actually said that he would, if he got in a fight with Cassius Clay, that he would beat him.
I fucking love that. He said some crazy shit. He's like, I'd end his life.
Yeah.
And then Brad Pitt started laughing at him. Yeah, that was great.
But it's like, it's funny though, because it's like, as much as it's like, oh man, you're kind of mocking him right now, like at the same time, I'm like, he would say some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even there's a quote from him that's like, if I told you that I was good, you'd think that I'm cocky. But if I told you I wasn't good, I'd be lying.
That also sounds like something Muhammad Ali would say, weirdly. So let's talk about the effect of the Sharon Tate storyline from both perspectives, since you already knew and I didn't. So we can talk about the different experience of that.
Yeah.
So one thing I found myself kind of thinking about while watching it, I was a little bit confused as to why we were spending seemingly innocuous time with Sharon Tate. I was like, where is this going to lead? Like,
Right.
I just figured it was going to be because I didn't know that she's the fucking famous person killed in the Manson family murders. I didn't know that was what the pressure was building up to, and that basically, I would guess from the other perspective, is you're just basically like seeing how great of a person and how fun-loving this girl we think is gonna die is, and that's like really sad.
Yeah.
So like I really liked the scene where she's like watching her own movie, but no one knew who she was.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just really sweet, and like, but I didn't know that was potentially coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of weird for me. I was like, I really like her scenes. I like they're fun and they're like she's really likable, and like the whole relationship she's in is weird and interesting, but like I didn't know where it was going was my only problem.
Yeah. Now, yeah. So one of the things that you sort of pick up on, which is like, I thought was really interesting. So like Sharon Tate, because she was the subject of like these gruesome murders, like, and her life, at the end of her life, became such a tragedy and is such a on such a like an epic scale, right? Like she has kind of been like deified in Hollywood lore, right? And it's just really interesting because like she doesn't have a lot of speaking lines in this movie.
Yeah,
it's
just
just
a lot of dancing lines though.
But it's a lot of it is just like sort of her having a good time.
Yeah, just her having fun,
enjoying her life.
Yeah.
It's like she's an actress like who has a burgeoning career, and she's having a kid, and she's met someone that she loves, even though he might be.
Listen, like we would be remiss to not say Roman Polanski is probably a super fucked up dude. Like he's accused of like raping a 13-year-old. So
and then he fled the country.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the dude.
So even if it does work out for her, that she ends up having his kid. So just
a little weird,
but.
And then like,
still, like
I was kind of confused about like so there's the other guy, I forget his name, Jay something, was her fiance,
played by Emil Hirsch, who I actually like. I'm a big Emil Hirsch fan.
Was her fiance. She filmed a movie with Roman Polanski, married Roman Polanski, but was still like best friends with Jay. Yeah. What was it? Jay what?
Jay Sebring.
I almost said Jay Hirsch. Jay Sebring. But like, and then like when she's like pregnant and shit, he's still like hanging her. I was like, this is really weird. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's a little strange, but it's Hollywood as fuck.
Very Hollywood, yeah.
Apparently, so there was a couple. I forgot the other name. So we'll start it this way. There's a lot of like random people that were thrown in this movie because it's huge.
Tons of people are in this
huge
movie.
Cast, but there's like certain ones that I didn't know were going to be in it.
Okay. Bruce Dern.
No, I knew Bruce Dern.
I didn't know Bruce Dern was going to be in it.
I didn't know Scoot McNairy was going to be in it.
Yeah, me neither. That was like a cameo role, kind of.
I didn't know Maya Hawke was going to be in it.
I knew that.
I didn't know Lena Dunham was going to be in it.
Me neither. I was like, is that Lena Dunham?
yeah. Super random.
You know Dakota Fanning was going to be in it?
No, I don't think so.
Did you know Timothy Oliphant?
Yes,
that boy.
He was in the trailer.
Oh, that's right. That last trailer. I don't know if I knew Kurt Russell was going to be in it, but like, it's like
surprise me,
Kurt Russell and Bruce Dern and like certain people show up in a Quentin movie, and you're like, yeah, of course they're in this. Yeah. I didn't know Damian Lewis was going to be in it as fucking Steve McQueen. Mm-hmm. That was a weird scene. Like Quentin was like, I need you to go all out for one scene, dude. I need you to fucking act your ass off for one scene, and that's all you're going to be in. Like, and it's basically just a scene about like fucking Steve McQueen being like, man, Sharon Tate could have been my girlfriend.
But that's kind of like what the interesting. But it was like a pseudo
fucking
badass
Michael Madsen
line.
showed up.
It's a pseudo badass line though, because like fucking Sharon Tate, like Steve McQueen is talking to somebody else and telling her the story of Sharon Tate.
It's basically like
how
it's a very
she left Jay Sebring.
It's an interesting way to like teach the audience about the relationships we didn't know about in like a quick and reasonable fashion.
Yeah,
and a dramatic fashion because of the way he's delivering it.
Pretty obvious exposition.
Yeah,
it's
but he's
obvious.
like delivering it in a way where you're like, I'm cool with this because it's so ridiculous.
And it's kind of
like so dramatic and over the top.
There's a lot of like Quentin Tarantino masturbatory scenes that you can imagine. You know what I mean? Like I feel like fucking the Bruce Lee fight sequence is like also one of those things where it's just like this is Quentin just having fun, but I don't care because I'm also having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a pseudo badass thing to say. The fact that she was like, oh well, I can see that she is like the girl that Steve McQueen is talking to, is saying like, oh, Sharon Tate is interested in these, you know, short, cute looking,
Look like 12-year-olds.
well, yeah, look like 12-year-old boys.
I never had a chance.
And Steve McQueen's like, I never had a chance. That's a badass thing.
It's so good. It's so good.
Um,
Yeah, like the amount of like people's daughters that are in this movie, like famous people's daughters. Like you mentioned Maya Hawke, that's Uma Thurman's daughter. Kevin Smith's daughter is in it. Who's the girl that you mentioned before?
so
the main hippie girl.
the main hippie girl that's involved
Pussycat.
with, that's in the Manson family,
Yeah.
like that's in this cult.
That gets a ride from Cliff Booth.
Her name's Margaret Qualley, and she's the daughter of Annie McDowell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to bring up was like apparently like there was like so many tertiary roles and stuff that like Quentin was including that like there was a lot of guys that were left on the cutting room floor. Apparently James Marsden played Burt Reynolds at one point.
Yeah. Burt Reynolds was originally going to play Bruce Dern's character. Then he passed away.
Yeah.
He couldn't play it.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, there's a couple of people that actually passed away, like either like after their scenes were shot or like throughout the course of making this movie. Luke Perry was another one. Luke Perry from Beverly Hills 90210, I believe. Yeah. But did you say Harley Quinn Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith's daughter.
It's a good movie. I fucking really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie this year.
Oh no. What an insult.
I'm sure Quentin's gonna fucking cry himself to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, like off the top of my head, like I think I liked Booksmart more. I think I liked like Endgame more, but like I'm a sucker for Marvel movies. Probably like Spider-Man more, but I'm a sucker for Spider-Man. Like, you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like specific, if there's any scenes that that really stood out that we haven't really covered. I mean, you mentioned it briefly, but like I really love the scenes with the little girl.
Yeah,
I thought those scenes were
they're
great.
quality.
Those are really good scenes. Like the one of just Leo and her talking and like they're talking about like her being a method actor and then like the parallels between the book he's reading and where he is in his career and how she like doesn't realize that he's talking about himself and she's like, that sounds like a mighty sad book. And then he's like, you'll be there in 15 years. And then when she comes back again for his like fucking act his ass off scene and he like throws her in the scene and she's like, oh, that was the best acting I've ever seen.
I love some good like actors playing actors scenes.
It's good. It's good.
Solid.
Yeah, like even the one before that, like where he messes up and it's him and Timothy Olyphant and they're like resetting the camera. Line. Like, and it's like it seems so innocuous. Like he messed up like 2 times. It's like, to me, like fucking great work, man. You're doing a good job. Like, I like some of the like, I don't know if it's terminology anymore. Like calling the villain a heavy. That was interesting to me. I'd never heard that before.
I feel like I have, but
Good for you.
I
That's it's just a cool, like being like, oh, I'm playing the heavy.
yeah.
There's
like a lot of lingo.
We haven't even talked about Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Al Pacino's like in this movie. His name's Schwarz. Schwarz.
Not Schwartz.
Not Schwartz. Schwarz. Oh, did you like Leo's The Tick?
How he kind of like stuttered?
When he wasn't in character.
He was stutter.
He's had a stutter. I thought that was really interesting. It was like a fun character choice. It's just like a lot of fun stuff.
It feels authentic. It feels like it just like really like.
And yeah, I think
ripped from that
I
time
think
period.
like my favorite part about is what you said earlier. I think the fact that it like at its core, it's like a story about friendship, and it's like a really lovable story about two friends.
Yeah,
so unexpected
it's really
and
sweet.
refreshing and fun. Yeah,
It's fucking really sweet.
Yeah.
And like it's weird because it's unexpected, but it also like should kind of be expected because like he's done romance before.
Yeah,
you know, like he wrote True Man.
I was gonna say
Romance.
you might say true romance.
You would say romance, but I like there's also romantic parts of Inglourious Bastards. Like so he can do sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah. And it's weird, like, when you think Quentin Tarantino movie, you, like, automatically are like, you know, how much blood's going to be in this movie? How many N-words are going to be dropped in this movie? And it's like throughout the experience, I was like, oh, like, none. Like, not until the final scene, there's, like, no blood. Like,
Yeah.
And then he goes all out for that one scene. Fucking flamethrower somebody in the fucking pool. That I loved I guess you could call it like the denouement of that scene, like when he's talking to the neighbor, when he's talking to
Sharon Tate or you're talking.
No.
He's talking to JC.
He's talking to JC Bring, and he's like, "Holy shit, that's crazy! Is everyone okay?" And it's just like such a normal conversation. And Leo's like,
I torched her.
He's like, "Thank you for asking. Yes, I'm fine. My wife is fine. Thank you for asking." There's somebody in my pool. I torched her with a flamethrower. He's like, "You what?" "Yeah, I had a flamethrower." And he's like, "Oh, from that movie you were in?" And he was like, "Yeah, it still works." It's so good.
Hilarious. It's really fucking funny. Yeah, that end sequence, and yeah, like you said, the denouement of him talking to JC Bring, and then to Sharon Tate
through the comm. Yeah. I really liked so there's a setup early in the movie that I thought made me think something was going to happen that didn't. When him and Cliff Booth talk about the fact that he lives next to Sharon Tate, I thought that was going to be like they were going to contrive some plot to like get in with Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski to help him get famous again or something. And I'm glad they didn't do that. Like, it could have been fun, but like I liked the way it went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like this weird thing where like by the end it was just like, oh, they're just going to be friends now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I don't know like how I would compare it to other Quentin movies, but like
if you're expecting
like Inglourious Basterds is fucking great. I really like Reservoir Dogs. I don't know where I would.
Have you seen the Kill Bills?
I've not seen the Kill Bills.
I own them.
Yeah.
If you want to watch them.
Kung Fu and Hot Chicks. What more can you want?
That's true, Bobby. I mean, Kyle. I think we can wrap this up.
I think we can too. Yeah, like I mentioned before, go check out Poll and hit us up for Q&A stuff. Ask us questions. Next week, we are doing an episode on Zombieland in honor of the Zombieland 2 double tap trailer coming out this week. I had never seen Zombieland, so I watched it, and we're going to talk about it. I'm excited. Spoilers.
I'll watch it again.
Spoilers. I liked Zombieland. It's a fun movie. Yeah. It's a fun fucking movie.
It's enjoyable.
Okay. That's going to be it for us. So hit us up on the social medias and all that fun stuff. ChrisMichaelStott.com on his website. Read his scripts. Chris Michael Stott on Instagram. Find me, DavinWell25 on Twitter and Instagram. The show, The Chris and Kyle Show, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on all the podcasting platforms. tcaks Pod on Twitter. Hit up the polls. Hit up the Q&As. Come back next week. It's going to be fun. We out.
We out. Stay weird.